Hi guys, and welcome back to another Hoya example solves video. Today I'm going to be doing some more 5x5 examples focusing on cross edges, but I'm going to be doing some white and yellow neutral solves, so I'm including third and fourth centre in that as well, because that will dictate which centre I do as my cross colour. Okay, so here we go. First up, I can see a very similar pattern on yellow and green, with this bar and this other centre, and same thing here. And they're both positioned exactly the same right now. I think I'll go with yellow just because I can see this one other piece, and as I bring this up to pair with the centerpiece, that is going to move to the back, but it means I will know for definite where that piece is. So I can track it, and then I only have to look for one other piece when I go into solving it. So I'm going to make the block like this, and as it happened, I saw this bar, this full 3x1 was made. I am just going to carry on with what I was doing before, because that's what I plan to do, and then rotate up, and then we have this, so I'll just use this center to make the bar there, and then I know we've got this one here. I'm just going to pair it up straight away with this, and then our last piece here. And because yellow is one of my cross colors, then I will want to solve the final center. If yellow is on the back, then I want to solve my fourth center on top relative, so that'll be green in this case. And I can see that I've got a few pieces here to work with already, so I'll be tracking those as I insert the bar into the back. And as you can see, that has actually made a center bar, which is nice. And now I can make these two and this one into a bar like this. And as I'm doing this, because I want yellow, it's on the back right now, I want it to eventually be on the bottom. So the way I'm going to execute this is like a 3R wide move, and then a U, and then an L wide prime to make sure the green is on the back. And now I can solve this last bar into the back and not have to do any more rotations before I start my cross edges. So here what I'll probably do is just take this bar out up to the top here, and now I can pair it with this and cancel into inserting. And as I'm doing that, I'm looking at these two pieces, the two orange pieces, and I can see that the wing is going to stay oriented and the midge is going to stay flipped relative to it, and it's going to go sort of to this back slot here. So as soon as I insert this bar, I'm going to do another R move and then bring it to the front like that. So I can immediately start working on orange. As I was doing that, I saw this piece as well, our last one, and there's a couple of really good ways you can do this case. I think they're basically identical in speed. It does sort of depend on which angle you get it from. So for example, if you get it from this angle, in this case it's the left wing, as you can see it needs to go down here and it's on the left in the U layer. So if you get it from this angle, you can take the midge out and put it opposite to this piece, like this, and then you have this 3R wide U2 3R wide prime variation. Alternatively, with this case, if you get it from the back, which is slightly harder to recognize if you have it, but if you can see that it's going to end up in the back, then what you can do, again, in this case, it's lefty, so you can do a left wide hedge like this, and then cancel into the 3R wide U2 3R wide prime variation. Or if you prefer to think about it in righty terms, you can move this piece up to here, then insert it as a 3 mover, and then cancel into R wide prime F2 R wide. Then next we have these two green pieces down here, and they're not solved relative to orange. So I'm going to immediately put orange in the back and keep these where they are so that I've got more visibility of my other D layer slots. And in this case it is very useful because, as you can see, we've got a lot of pieces already in the D layer slots. And then our final green piece is back here. So I can put green to the front, and the way I would solve this, I would do an R2 and then set up to this case, where I would insert the midge first, break up this piece temporarily, but then insert it back again. Like that. And then actually, in this case, instead of treating it as a last cross edge case and finishing with the R2 again, because I saw this blue midge was down here from before, and I know that these other two blue pieces are also in the D layer, and they're actually where they need to be relative to green. Instead of doing this last R2 again, I'm not going to do that because I know we've got green in the front, so blue will be in the back. And I'm just going to insert this midge straight into the back like that. And so that's, as I can see, taking out this other red wing, the final piece. And this one is over the slot and it's oriented, so I can just do an R2 straight away to solve it. And then finally we have this case. We have our midge oriented and our wing misoriented, so we've got a really nice 2-gen setup to the 3R wide U2 3R wide prime trick. And from here, we're going to want to put these opposite each other and end with the midge in the front. And so in this case, I can do that with R, U prime, R prime, U prime, like that. Then we just have our 3 move inserts. Okay, next up we've got this. I can see a lot of yellow pieces straight away, so I'm definitely going to do yellow. We have this bar and this edge, and then these two down here. And I can make a T shape with just the yellow center by inserting it. But I'm going to want to do an F move of some kind first to make sure I don't hide this piece, because that's the piece I'm going to use to expand the T into a block. So I will do that to move it out of the way. And then I can see yellow is going to be on the back. So I just slice down to make the T. And then here, I'm going to insert this. And instead of doing a U here to keep this center in the unsolved slot, I'm going to do a U prime to take it out so that I've got a bit more freedom there. And I don't know if there's anything on the bottom, so I'm just going to rotate this way to check. We've got one piece here, so I'm going to put these in the same slice. Then our other ones down here, and I can solve these with something like R wide 2 to pair these two up, then an F2, then R wide to connect this block. And I know I'm not going to solve the center on the front because yellow, which will be my cross color center, is on the bottom. So as I'm doing this, I'm going to rotate back up to see what I get here. And now we've got blue, we've got this nice pattern here. This is just a 3 mover. And I saw the 2 other pieces go down in this side. So I'm going to rotate down to solve them. I'm going to solve them straight in the back, so now I don't need to do any more rotations. And I also saw these 2 green pieces here. So I think I'll just insert them straight down into the bottom, so I know they're not going to get broken up. Then we've got our last bar, which is these pieces. Pair them like that. And as I'm doing that, I'm seeing this last green edge. Insert the bar straight into the back. And then here, we can use the fact that we have no other cross edges solved already to turn this into a misoriented wing in just 2 moves. And we have a couple of options. So to change the orientation of an edge in just 1 move without using a slice move, you will need to do an F or a B move. And so we can do either R prime, F prime, like that, or R, B, like that. And what I can see is if I do R prime, F prime, like this wing gets put in the front, and then it'll be a 4 moves to insert. But if I do R, B, it's going to get put in the back, and then I can just insert it with R wide, U2, R wide prime in 3 moves. So although that does only save 1 move, it's a nice little thing to look out for, so that's what I would do. So next up, I saw this orange piece and this orange piece as well. And so I'm just going to insert one, again, before we realign this, I don't want to have to do an F2, so I'm just going to insert one into the left, like that. And then we've got our midge down here, because I can see we've got our other orange wing in the back. I'm just going to do an L2 from this angle, because now I know this case can be done in 8 moves, and it's pretty decent. So I will do to solve these is I will pair these 2 up in the U layer. They'll end up over here, opposite to this one, like that. And then I can do the same trigger again to pair these pieces, bring them down here, and then it's just an F move away from being solved. I noticed we've got a blue wing solved here, and it's solved relative to orange, so I'll go ahead and do blue next. We have the other wing here and the midge in the back slot, and these 2 are both misoriented. So I'll just bring this in 1 move to the U layer. There are actually 3 different solutions that I use for this case, depending on which angle I get it from. And I think they're all like perfectly interchangeable in speed. And they're all about the same length as well. So I'll show you all 3 of them just because I think it's useful to know. From this angle, what I would do is just insert this piece in 3 moves. This stays here, and then I would do a U2 and insert it. So that would look like this. Another solution, if I had it from the U2 angle, where we have this piece and then this piece over here, is I would do a similar thing. I just insert this one first, and then here I would cancel into inserting the midge, which you can do like that. Then finally, if I have it from this angle, where we have the midge in front and the wing in the back, what you can do is you can pair all 3 pieces in the U layer with L wide prime, U2, L wide, and then you can just insert it into the bottom, something like that. But as it was, I got it from this angle with the midge on the left, so I'm just going to insert the midge first and then the other piece. And then finally we have this red wing solved, which is nice. We have the other wing misoriented in the U layer, which is also nice, and the final piece is back here. So again, we just have a 2-gen setup to 3R wide U2, 3R wide prime. And as before, we want to end up with the midge in the front. So to set these up, I would do U, R prime, U, R, and then 3 move insertion. Okay, so for this one, I can see enough orange pieces to make a 2x3. And so I can connect these two pieces and these two pieces to form a square, and then use these two to extend it to a block. And so here, instead of doing an F2 and then an R wide, because the F2 is a bit awkward, I'm going to do a U2 and then an L wide prime, like that. And then I can solve these pieces like this. Now I can't see any more on the front, and I know we've got this empty slot here. So what I'm going to do is just put orange straight on the bottom, because I know that it's my third center and it's not one of my cross colors. So relative to this, my cross color will be the center that's on the front. And so that in this case is yellow. From this angle with orange on the bottom, I can insert this bar to the bottom and go immediately into solving my cross color center on the front. And that limits the number of rotations I have to do, which is always nice. So here's our next bar. We can build it like this and then insert it in one move down to the right. Now here, we've got this bar here, which I could preserve and make the final two pieces with this piece and wherever the other piece is on the back, but I can't see that piece right now, so I'm just going to go ahead and use this bar. And so I can make a 2x3 with these pieces by doing this, then leaving this piece down here. And what I'm going to do here, before I even rotate to look for the other piece, I'm going to do a U prime, because from this angle, if I were to try and build the bar and cancel into inserting it, I'd have to use a lot more moves. And you can tell when that's going to be the case, where if I look at this center, this corner center piece, this X center, is in the bottom right, and this one is also in the bottom right. And when they're on different faces, if they're in the same position on that face, that means you're not going to be able to cancel into inserting the bar, and you're going to have to use a lot more moves. Whereas if they're in the same slice but in a different space, so now this one, as you can see, is still in bottom right, but this one now is in the top right as you look at it, now we can build the bar and cancel into inserting it at the same time. So now that I know we've got these two pieces nicely set up, I can rotate up, and here's our last piece. And so now you'll be able to see, having positioned this, that I can pair these in one move, and now pair this with these two pieces in one more move, and then I can just insert it with an R wide 2. So that was just 5 moves to build that last bar. So next up, I can see 2 red pieces. We've got one solved already, and we have our midge oriented in the U layer, which is nice, and it's in UF, so it's already nicely set up. And our final piece is hard to see. It's actually back here, and you know, this is difficult to see in a solve, so I may have to do like some awkward rotation to make sure that I can see what piece it is. But again, if I were to do a rotation like this and, you know, be able to see that it's back here, then from this angle I can do just one move, a B2, or in this case you'd execute it as a U2 to set up. And now we just have 3L wide prime, U2, 3L wide. So a bit awkward to find that piece, but we've solved an entire cross edge in just 4 moves. So, you know, swings and roundabouts. So next up, I can see all of the blue pieces, and I can see all of the orange pieces. So the orange pieces are here, here, and here, and the blue are here, here, and here. And in this situation, I'm probably going to do blue, because even though this is not solved relative to red, what I can see is that, let's pretend, you know, this is the blue edge that we're going to do. If we were to insert this piece down to here in just 3 moves, that would bring this piece up to here in just 3 moves. So I'm going to set blue up, this blue piece relative to red, by doing that. And now I can solve those 2 pieces as I just mentioned. And while doing that setup, none of the orange pieces moved, so they're going to be really easy to track. I know that this one is going to stay exactly where it is the whole time, because, you know, it's on the right and we're just doing lefty moves for this solution. So I'm going to be tracking these 2 pieces to see where they end up. And probably what I can do is just an R prime straight away to solve this piece, because I know orange needs to go here relative to blue. So I'm going to be watching these 2 as I solve that piece. This one's ended up in the front, this one's in the front slot. So I'm going to immediately just go into solving this piece. And now I have this case. And here what I can do is a lefty hedge like this, and then cancel. As you can see, we now have both the pieces in the right orientation. We have the midge oriented and the wing misoriented. So I can cancel into setting them opposite each other in the U layer like that. And now we just have a 3 move insertion. Finally, we've got green. We've got a piece down here in the slot, but it's flipped. We have the midge here, and we have our other wing back here. And if I'd seen this in time, which again I hope I would, then definitely what I would do is bring this to the U layer with an R2 and then solve this piece, because that will put this in the U layer opposite it, and this is oriented and this is misoriented. So again, we've got a 3-move insertion. If I hadn't seen that, then probably what I would have done would be something like R to position this opposite here, and then align the cross and then an F move, so that I've got a wing solve case with the midge in the U layer again, which is always nice. Obviously this case is not as good as the one we had, but I still don't think it's a bad solution. But again, if you can look out for all 3 of your pieces at the same time before you start solving them, then from this angle, what I would do is an R2 like this to put this piece here, D2 to align this, L prime to solve this, and now we just have this case, which we can do the U and D at the same time, and then insert like that. Okay, on to the next one, and we have a very obvious start here. We have already an orange T made, and we have another center with which we can expand it into a block. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that straight away. And as I was doing that, I saw there were no orange pieces down here. So I haven't seen anything on the back yet. And even though I've only seen this one bar of this bottom center, I know there are no orange pieces on it. So there is slightly more likely to be orange pieces on the back center. So I'm going to rotate this way, and then we have these two, and then this piece. And I can make a bar by pairing these and then pairing these like that. And again, orange is not my cross color center, so I will do the center on the front, which is white. And as I'm doing that, I see this bar. I'm not going to preserve it because I know the bar itself will stay on the back, and that's useful. And as I'm doing it, I can see these 2 pieces and these 2 pieces, so I can make a square like that. And then we just have these 2. I know this bar's already here from before, so I'm going to make these into a 2x1 like that, and then insert them down here. And because I know this bar's on the right, I'm going to make sure the unsolved slot is on the left, so I can go immediately into solving this bar here. As I'm doing that, I can see a lot of pieces already. I can see this block and this block, so I know they're going to stay where they are relative to each other. So I'm going to be tracking those. And the first thing I see is the red wing that goes with this, so I'm just going to solve red straight away. And something I can see immediately, I don't just want to do an F straight away and then solve this piece, because that could break this up, and also because this piece will stay oriented. So what I can do first is a U to put this over the top, so when I do the F it gets misoriented. And it's now in a 3-mover position, and also when I insert it, because I need to do a U move in the middle, that will put this block over to here, which is on the correct side relative to red. So I know I can insert this and then immediately just do an L2 to solve that block. As I was doing that, I saw there are no blue pieces here, and there are no blue cross pieces here either. So I know I only need to look on the right hand side of the cube for my last blue edge, and it's back here. And so before I do this D move to align blue to the front, I'll bring this down because it's misoriented. I'll bring it to the U layer straight away in just 1 move, and then I can insert it as a 3-mover like that. Now we've got all the green pieces. We've got these 3 here, and this green, although it's an L2 away from being inserted, that would not be correct relative to blue. So I think what I'll do here, because I can see if I bring them both to the front like this, I can see that although this one's not oriented correctly in the slot, these 2 are in opposite orientations, which means they're 1 slice move away like this from being paired up. So I think I'll do that, because then what I can do here is a U move to bring them to the side, and then when I bring them down, now they're going to be over the correct slot relative to blue, as you can see. So now I can just insert them straight away like that. Then our last piece is here, and another advantage of this is we have a free front slot here. We've inserted them into the side, so I can again make this into a much better case. Instead of just doing a D move and then using 7 moves to solve this piece, I can just do an F here to set this up to a 3-mover position and then insert it like that. And finally we've got orange. We've got 2 pieces in the U layer and 1 in a back slot, and they're all misoriented. So all of them being misoriented is generally a good thing, because it means I can insert them just 1 at a time and it will still be really efficient. The one thing I don't want is a piece to be in the back slot. So the first piece I'm going to solve will be this midge, and the way I'm going to do that is with an R prime and that means that this gets put in the front, and it's now one move away from being solved, and this piece that was in a back slot gets brought to the U layer. So from here, I can put the empty slot on the front, I can do an F to solve the midge, and then this one I can just insert in 3 moves, and then this one will not change position, so I can insert that also in 3 moves, like that. All right, one more. And so here I can see I've got a yellow bar already made, and it's the center bar, so that's nice. And it's already aligned vertically. So I think what I'll do, even though I can't see many more pieces, I can just see this one. I'm going to immediately rotate and put yellow on the bottom, because I know that any moves that I do with the right or the left slice are not going to break up this bar. So I can immediately pair these 2 pieces and hope that I'll see another one come from the back. And yes, I do. And so now what I'm going to do to make this bar, instead of doing an F2 and then another R wide prime like that, I know from before I even did this move, that there are no more yellow pieces here. And so doing this move to pair these 2 up, this empty slot is going to go to the back. And now if I were to do an F2 and again an R wide prime, this empty slot comes to the top. And I know it's already there, which means I'm not gaining any more information by bringing that slot down. I'm not going to see any more pieces that I haven't seen yet. So instead what I'm going to do is try and see more of the pieces that I haven't seen by bringing down this slot instead, this left hand side. So here to make this bar, I'm going to do a U2 and then an L wide like that. And so now I can see these 2 pieces, and I know the other one will be in this middle bar on the back. And so what I'm going to do, again, because I don't want necessarily these 2 pieces to be on the opposite center, I'm going to insert this into the right. I'm going to rotate up as I'm doing that, and I've got these 2 pieces in this one here. And so what I can do to solve these, again, because I know I've got the empty slot on the left, I can do just one move to pair them up, and I don't have to restore anything. And then I can pair this bar, insert it into the back, and then undo. And in this case, yellow is going to be my cross color. So the 4th center that I'm going to do will be whatever is on top, because we're solving yellow into the back. So my 4th center on top is going to be orange. I'm looking at these 2 pieces. I'm going to use them to make an inner bar once I'm done with yellow. So there we go. And what I'll probably do here, because it's just one move, I can put this one over to here like that, so that when I insert the yellow bar into the top, we've already got an orange piece connected there. So now I'll do these 2 and these 2 into a square, just like that. And now down here we've got these 2 and these 2, and because I know the square is here, what I can do is I can use this bar. I'm going to do a D2 to bring it over to this side, so that when I insert it now, I can just do 3 moves and I'll be left with my empty slot on the right, which is quite nice. Whereas if I were to insert, say, this bar, just do like a D prime and then insert it like this, I have to do another move to put my empty slot on the right. So from here, we'd insert these 2 into the top like that. And then sort of as I'm doing that, I do like a 3L wide prime as well. So I sort of rotate and have yellow on the bottom. Then our last bar, we can solve like this into the back. And I'm looking and as I'm seeing 2 orange pieces and 2 blue pieces, and I know they're going to stay where they are when I insert this bar. So now onto cross edges, we have our 3rd orange piece here, so I'm just going to do orange next. And if this were a last cross edge case, it's not great. It's one of my least favorite cases, but it's not a last cross edge case because we have no other pieces solved. So we can get very creative with how we do this. The thing that would stand out to me as most obvious is just inserting one piece at a time. We've got this piece, we can go down here in 4 moves. And then this piece, not great, but again, we can use this freedom of these unsolved slots. We can do something like R2 and then a B to put it in the top layer, and it'll be misoriented. So something else we could do here, which I'll show just because it's probably about the same speed, and it's just a different way of thinking. We can pair these 2 pieces up because, as you can see, they're just one slice away. And we can pair them up in the U layer, and then we can insert this and these 2 separately as well. So, for example, what we could do, because when we see that we do this R-wide move to make this block, this piece is going to get oriented. And if we were to do, say, just a U, then it's going to get stuck in the bottom and it's going to be flipped, so it's not going to be very good. What we can do instead is a U2 and then undo. So now we have this piece and this block in the back. And from here, we can solve this. And what I probably would do in this case is an F2, because even though it's not very good for finger tricks, it'll bring this block over to here, and then that'll just be 3 moves. So we can do 1, 2, like that to set up both of these pieces, and then insert with the 3 mover. But again, like I said, inserting just one piece at a time there is not bad at all, because you've got a lot of freedom to turn bad cases into good cases. So next up I saw this red piece and this red piece, so just do a D2, solve this in one move. And then actually, instead of just inserting this here, because I can see we've got this piece, what I'll do is actually just the solution for this last cross edge case. Even though we're not on our last cross edge, I know this solution is only 8 moves, so it's still going to be really good. And while I'm doing that, I will be tracking these 2 blue pieces because they're both in the front. Obviously this one we know is going to come out because the red piece will have to go there, and this one we'll watch out for as well. So the solution I would do would be to pair these 2 pieces up in the U layer, like this, and then pair this one with them, and then insert down. And the last move is an F prime. And as I was doing that, I saw this midge that was down here. It's going to get put relative to red. This one's not. So I'm not going to solve this one. What I will do is just bring this down straight away. And as it happens, our other wing is in the back, and it's also oriented. And this is, really not a good case at all. There's a few different things you could do here. You could bring this piece that's in a back slot to the front like this, and then set up to this case, which isn't too bad. It's a little bit awkward to execute. And to be fair, the solution that I would do is also quite awkward to execute, but I know I can do it reasonably well. This will definitely not be the best solution for everyone, but this is what I would do. So these 2 pieces here, they're opposite each other, and you can flip them both and put them both in the U layer with S prime, L, S. And obviously, like I said, S moves are hard. Not everyone's going to be able to do this certainly quickly or consistently. It's just something I've practiced because there are a few different cases where, I think that the alternative solutions are just not going to be as fast, and this is one of them. And I think doing something like that is not too bad. And it leaves us with this case, which we don't need to do any setup moves for at all. We've just got 2 3 movers here and here, and so we can do that to insert one and that to insert the other. So that was a bit of a funky solution, but it does work. And now moving on to our last cross edge, we've got green, we've got this piece here. The other 2 are in the U layer, so obviously I'm definitely going to solve this one first. Align this so green is here, and then bring it to the front. And now this case, again, nice and simple one. This is just inserting 2 pieces separately. We've got this one we can insert in 3 moves. As we do that, that'll bring this piece over to here, so that'll also be a 3 mover, just like that. So yeah, a couple of more fancy things in there. I'm not sure entirely how worth it each of them are. Obviously it'll depend on what you're comfortable with as a solver. If riskier finger tricks like those S move finger tricks, or slightly random solutions like that, if they're not your thing, then definitely don't risk it, because they can very easily go wrong. And then on the other side of the coin, things like those block building solutions where I built pairs of pieces or even 3 pieces in the U layer, those can be really useful. Those are basically just situational. There's not, I wouldn't classify them as specific cases. It's more just patterns of recognizing where you can pair 2 pieces. For example, when you've got a case like this, if you've got 2 pieces or blocks that are both oriented and they're in adjacent slots, you can just pair them quite intuitively like that. And then similarly, if you've got something like this, 2 pieces or blocks that are in opposite slots and they're in different orientations, just by looking you can see there's one slice move away from being paired. And that sort of thing is much better to do in untimed solves. Just sort of play around, try a few different triggers. So like one of the examples that I used earlier, you could make a pair of pieces in the U layer in one move, and then you have a choice of 3 different moves. You can do either a U prime, or a U2. And you'll get a slightly different case depending on which one of those you do. And in some cases that will affect your other piece, sometimes it won't. So just go through each of those cases anytime you get something like that. Go through all of the different continuations and just sort of see what you can find. And, you know, as I always say, that's why I think things like untimed solves are really, really helpful for that, because you can get a better feel of how you can incorporate more sort of fancy solutions or creative solutions into your solves. So yeah, hope this video helps, and thanks a lot for watching.